watch it?
I watched it for the first time about 3 hours ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you didn't watch it before, right?
Correct.
What did you What did you think?
It was actually pretty enjoyable, I thought, for a kind of a low-grade B movie. It was pretty well done, I should say.
Yeah, yeah, they did a lot with very little. It's one of my favorite exploitation films. I just love the cinematography in it. It's just amazing. Um, I think I mentioned to you that I'd interviewed Archibald Jr.
Yeah, I see that he's still alive, and
Yeah, yeah. It was like a 2 hour interview. He went over a lot of stuff, so definitely a lot of stuff we can cover here. But the cinematographer is Vilmos Zsigmond,
Vilmos Zsigmond.
I think it is how you pronounce it.
could
He
be.
did the cinematography for Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Deer Hunter, Deliverance. He's done so many movies. He went on to have like a really big career after this movie, and
Yeah,
watching
well,
this movie, you could see why.
how about that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, what's interesting is that there's a connection here with a previous film we did, even though we've only done two so far. This will be number three. The hero in the movie, Ed, is played by Richard Alden, who also plays the father in The Pit.
Oh, really? I didn't even make, I clicked, there's only 5 people in this cast, and I think I clicked on IMDb for 3 of them, and he's one that I did not click, so I didn't realize that. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. When I saw The Pit, I'm like, that face looks so familiar. And I was like, where do I know him from? And then after we did this, I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, of course, that's him. Yeah.
Yep, sure enough. I guess we'll have to knock out all of his films then, huh? Deadline. We'll have to do that one at some point, maybe.
Maybe, maybe.
I got it.
Um,
So,
oh, okay, that's why you want to do it.
yeah.
I'm
Looks
like
like he's got.
I'm like he's not really that popular that we should knock out his movies, but
No, he's not. In fact, yeah, he's done 25 things that I can see here, and yeah, I have 3 of them. So,
okay. So yeah, this like you said, it's a small cast. It's about three school teachers driving to a baseball game, and they have car trouble, and that's where things kind of go really wrong for them. So Ed, we already talked about, played by Richard Alden, also in The Pit. The heroine is Doris, played by Helen Hovey, and this was her only acting credit. The
correct.
wise old man Carl is played by Don Russell, and he actually was a production manager on 3 of the Fairway International films, including this one. And Fairway was Arch Hall Senior's production company, and he was a actor in the 30s, and he got back into it in the late 50s and got his son into the movies as well.
So, put his son in the starring role here.
Yeah, yeah, I think his son starred in all 6 productions of Fairway
Hmm.
International films before they closed down. This was around the 59 to 64, I think Arch was saying. And it was all drive-in type independent movies, but they just didn't make any money. It was a very sleazy business back then because there was no way for filmmakers to really track how much their movies made. They would just give a print to the distributor, and it would be hard to get a head count of how many cars drove in and watched your particular viewing. And it was
Sure.
very expensive too, because they would have to send out these prints, which would cost like 35, $40,000. They'd be like, 60 pounds, and you'd have to send it out to these different cities. They're very sensitive, they get damaged very easily. And he was telling me sometimes you can make $15 on a show, on a viewing of your movie, and if like a projectionist is careless, you could lose your $35,000 print, and that's not very financially feasible
No.
to keep that going. So it was very hard for independent filmmakers around that time. So um, and the villain, played by Charlie Archibald Jr., who I mentioned before. Um, I actually reposted the old interview I did with him, along with the old interview I did with Joel M. Reed as well. So
How
people
long
can check that
ago
out.
did you talk to this guy?
2014.
Okay.
Yeah. We're still friends on social media, but I haven't really been in
He's
too much.
actually made one film since then. It looks like it's a low budget film. It's called the Last American Horror Film, something like that. I actually have that movie. Somebody gave it to me. I haven't seen it yet, but he made something in 2018.
Yeah, when I spoke to him, he said he was working on a script, but he said it was a kung fu thing. So
Eh,
maybe that fell through, and then he ended up doing that years later. I don't know.
yeah,
So,
it looks pretty low budget, but I haven't watched it.
yeah. Yeah, well, definitely check it out and let me know. But yeah, I haven't seen his any of the other films in his filmography either. This was the only one I've seen because I knew his father was kind of pushing him as like a matinee idol type, and it was like kind of like the music and the teeny boppy type stuff from the '60s. None of the other films really interest me. This was the one that really, it was a departure from all the other stuff they did. So I didn't really see his other 5 films or the new one that you mentioned as
Hmm.
well. So this was the one that really did it for me. Um, and last we have Charlie, his girlfriend, who's Judy, played by Marley Manning. And according to online, this is his first cousin. I didn't ask him that
Yeah,
in the interview because it was kind of awkward because she plays his love interest in this movie and another Fairway movie as well. So I was like, let
yep.
me just not even get into that. They didn't kiss or anything, but still, it's just an awkward question to ask, and it may or may not be true. Um, so yeah, like I was saying, they spent a lot of time on camera setups, and I asked them about that. They said, their attitude was like, we don't have a lot of money, but we have time. So they just let the cinematographer
Vilmos Zsigmond.
just do whatever he wanted, and some of the shots in this movie are just really cool.
Hello? Hello?
If the pump hasn't already been stripped off that Chevy, we might be in business.
What did you think about Arch's performance?
Seeing as how you like to talk, go ahead and talk. Talk all you want. As soon as I finish this, you're gonna be through talking. School be out for you, teacher.
But yeah, seemed to play the crazy guy. I'm just trying to figure out what his motivation was, though, because he'd killed 7 people prior to even getting to this place, and he killed 3 or 4 more while he was there. I think he was just a sadist. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. I think he said it in the opening monologue, didn't he?
I have been hurt by others, and I will hurt them. I will make them suffer like I have suffered.
Yeah, there was a little monologue in there about a sadist. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he let his motivation. This movie just gets straight to the point. He give you a short little monologue, give you his motivation. I'm just a sick fucker, and then he just gets right into it. So this movie doesn't waste a lot of time. What did you think of some of his more heinous acts, the games he was playing, like the coke game?
My God, child, haven't you any feelings at all? Can't you understand? Look at him squirm, Judy. They all alike, ain't they? Yellow when they go.
The guy that he shot in the head?
Yeah, when he was like, when I finish this coke, you're dead.
Tell him you won't fix the car. Don't let him do it.
If you want the car fixed,
Maybe the big man wants to take your place. If he says one more word, he will. What about it, big man? You feel like talking? Maybe Miss Goodgood wants to take his place. I guess nobody wants to take your place, mister.
Well, it wasn't just that, but it was also with the other guy.
I'm gonna give you a choice, big man. You die now, or you fix that car. I'll give you 15 minutes to fix it.
Why should I fix it? You'll only kill us when I get done.
I'm giving you 15 more minutes of life, mister. If you don't want it, I'll blow your head off right now. There is 2.
You know, if I was in that position, I don't know what I would do. I'd be like, like to think, well, maybe kill me now. Why would I want to fix your car? You know, if I'm going to die anyway. But I don't know. It's a wicked mind that would even think of doing something like that to somebody.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting because they almost put you in the position of the characters with some of these scenes. Like when he killed Carl, he gave them an opportunity. He was like, "Do one of you want to take his place?" And they were very loud and they were fighting back and saying, "Stop, don't." But then the minute he said, "Do one of you want to take his place?" they went silent, the other two characters. And they,
Uh-huh.
I thought that was pretty interesting because it's like, you think to yourself, what would I do? If that was my friend, would I, I'm like, hey, don't shoot him. And then he was like, do you want to take his place? Would I be quiet too? I'm thinking I might.
Maybe.
Uh,
Yeah.
and also, he also had the scene with the bullets.
You know I only fired 7 shots. Only got 1 bullet left. Unless I reloaded. How many bullets do I have left? Come on, come on. You're the big man. Come on. The 1 bullet's gone. Come on, maybe the gun's empty. Come on, mister, I'm giving you a chance. Come on, big man. Come on, mister. Come get the gun. What's the matter? You friend? You had a chance, mister. You should have taken it. You ain't gonna get no more. See how yellow they are, Judy? It's afraid of an empty gun.
Aside from that, I was taken a little by surprise by the fact that the main guy character got shot. I was under the impression that we're going to have this couple, if they're a couple, be our last 2 survivors here, and they were the last 2. But he got shot near the end. I wasn't anticipating that. I thought they would both end up living somehow, and I was kind of surprised.
It's a very dark movie. Actually, in fact, the killing scene with Carl, they did like 15 takes, and they had a sheep brain that they used to show like his head got blown out.
Yeah, I
And
read something that the effect didn't work right or something like that.
yeah, online they're saying the effect didn't work right, but when I spoke to Arch on the interview, he was like, that wasn't the reason. It was the censors. They thought it was just too graphic.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt like it wasn't so graphic because we also talked about other like low budget films around that time, like Night of the Living Dead. And Arch's opinion was, if you put that exact same effect in a movie like Night of the Living Dead, where it's not as bleak, it's more like, no one actually thinks they're real zombies, even though maybe the storyline may be a little bit dark, the way the lead character in that movie dies as well, it's kind of hokey because you don't believe in zombies. The zombies didn't look that realistic. But this is like a lot more like this could actually happen type stuff. So he felt it wasn't the effect, but it was the context of the movie that made them edit it out. And the director was like really mad about that. So.
Yeah, I wonder if that scene exists in its uncensored form somewhere.
No, not in those days, because you're talking about just prints, and they're not going to keep those copies and things like that. It's amazing, like some of these drive-in movies still exist today, in any form, because at the time they didn't know about VHS and beta and other formats of keeping these films alive, or that people would even want to watch them now.
Yep, who knew?
Yeah. So, I mean, what were your overall thoughts on the film? So you liked it, or did you think it was just eh?
Yeah, well, the I don't know if there's a better existing print. I was using this DVD right here, which it's not I've had this probably since the early, actually 2003 it says on here. So I've had it a long time. It's not the best print. It's a little scratchy, but like you said, it's in the public domain. I don't know if there's a better copy out there. Maybe it's been cleaned up and by somebody, I don't know. But so that hurt a little bit. But yeah, overall, I did enjoy the film. Like I said, I'd never seen it before, so it's interesting though. It's a black and white film, but all the pictures on the back of this box are in color.
Yeah. So your copy's not color, I'm assuming then.
No, I'm assuming it was a black and white film, correct? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, it's black and white, but sometimes
Okay.
they colorize old movies as well, like Film
Right.
Night
Yeah.
Outer Space and stuff like
Yep.
that.
No, definitely black and white. I actually have this. I think I mentioned it last week. I have this on a couple other compilation DVDs as well, but I just stuck with this one. I didn't even check out the other ones.
Yeah, he mentioned that oles, I guess they're a distribution company. He said they did a
Yep.
really good reprinting of it, but for the most part, you know, it's public domain, so it's not like Arch has a good copy from, you know, from their prints or anything like that. It's just what
Right.
other people had. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess if people want to check out a good copy, oldies would be the best one. But I haven't seen a great copy of it either. The copies I've seen are really like low grade in the quality of the film itself. But I don't know. I just love this movie because the pacing of it is just so good, and the foreshadowing, where like you see the snake early on, and they panic, oh, like a snake, and then the snake plays into the end of the movie.
Just a snake skin they shed this time of year.
I can't stand snakes.
You see the plates where they're counting how many like people ate and didn't eat, and that plays into how many bullets he has left.
Settings for 4 at the kitchen table, 2 plates eaten from and 2 plates untouched. Pie still warm. Except for a cat, there's not a sign of life.
The sooner we get out of here, the better off I'll feel.
I just love like stuff like that where it's just like every minute of the film counts. Like all this stuff is going to end up coming back towards the end, you know. And even with Carl, when he died, you know, they were saying, hey, Carl, you lived such a long, good life.
Why, Mr. Oliver, you sound like an old man.
Well, 52 yesterday.
Well, I'd say you'd had a fine and full life.
Ed! Miss Baines!
He's only 52 years old. I mean, I'm getting close to that myself. I still want to be around for a long time.
Yeah, but 52 was a lot older in the 50s.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's not. Now it's barely middle age.
Mhm.
So yeah. But yeah, there were also alternate titles for the film, but that was for TV purposes because they felt it was too dark. Face of Terror and Sweet Baby Charlie were some alternate names as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Archibald Jr. only ended up acting for 5 years from 59 to 64. Like I said, his dad was an actor in the 30s, and his dad's problem was that he was too handsome, and then a lot of the he was just like a background like character, like, you know, like he just played like bit roles, but then a lot of the ladies would flirt with him, and then you get jealousy on set, and he kind of like derailed him a lot. So his dad actually lived an interesting life. He fought in the war. He was a pilot. He did. He had one of his friends died in his arms. He had to kill somebody who tried to rob him, because you're talking about, you know, that around that time you're talking
Great
about
Depression, maybe.
Great Depression. Yeah. So things were a lot darker and bleaker back then. And but yeah, he tried to make this comeback in the late 50s and tried to get back in the film industry, and it just didn't work out. It was just like very bleak, their whole situation, you know. But they said they did enjoy making the films, but it really like bankrupt the family trying to get these movies out there. It's not like today where like filmmakers like myself can make a movie for like a few $100, a few $1,000, and you know, it's like a drop in the bucket, you know, if it doesn't, nothing comes of it. But yeah, I mean, I love these drive-in type movies. I mean, with your show, you mainly watch 80s movies, right?
I'll watch anything. I'll end up reviewing this one as well. Uh, yeah, generally I like stuff from the 70s and 80s. That's my era. But I've done movies from just the last couple of years. I think I did Nosferatu from 1922. So yeah, I've done I'll go all over the place.
Okay. Any final thoughts on the film?
No, I don't think so. I like I said, I'm glad to have finally seen this. It's been in my collection for 17 years. Never got around to it. I knew it existed. I just knew nothing about it until last week. So I enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it.
And no particular reason you passed it up. It's just,
Just one of those things. In fact, I'm not sure why I even purchased it. Back in some of the early days of DVD, you'd go to Blockbuster. I'm not Blockbuster, Best Buy, and I would just grab everything that was somewhat interesting to me, but there wasn't as much available back then as there ended up being, years later. There were certain film companies that wouldn't release their movies, so the selection was pretty small for the first few years of DVD. So if there was something that looked in that sort of genre that I liked, I would just grab it.
Yeah. What's interesting for me is like I didn't get on the first wave of DVDs because when DVDs came out, there was a battle between well, you had DVDs initially, then you had the Blu-ray versus the HD battle, and who was going to win that. And then DVD prices started to sink after a while, and then you had the public domain movies like this. They would be in like the 99-cent stores, and you'd have the little spinning, little cart thing by the checkout counter where you could spin around, pick your public domain movies, and this was one of them. And I picked it up for $1. It was a great buy.
Yeah, that's probably why I got it too. I mean, if it was $25, I probably wouldn't have gotten it, but it was probably sitting in a bin for a couple of dollars, and I'm like, well, that sounds like my kind of movie. Let's just pick it up.
Yeah, I love exploitation movies, and like I said, this one really did. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the lead performance. Maybe it's the cinematography. It could be the pacing. But this is one I've revisited a lot, and I can see like how some people may not like it as much because maybe his character's a little bit over the top, maybe more comical than scary, and maybe a little goofy in certain places. And he even mentioned that too in the interview. Like some of the takes came out goofy, but he trusted the director to let him know, okay, like this take is good, this take is not so much, pull it back, and things like that. And I thought the end result was pretty good. So
yeah, he may have been a little goofy, but every time he's doing something goofy, the next thing you know, he's doing something sadistic. So
yeah. This is like if he didn't accidentally fall into that snake pit. I mean, aside from that, there's nothing positive that happens in the movie. Pretty much. I mean, even like the start of the movie, it's like their car breaks down. They miss the game. It's like it starts off with like little bad things happening, and the bad things just escalate. There's never anything good happening in the movie at any point.
You monster!
Doris!
Dirt!
Shut up!
Shut up yourself!
Doris, take control of yourself!
Do you coward!
Doris!
Don't touch me!
Doris, you're gonna get us both shot!
I don't care! Why don't you go ahead and shoot? Go on, shoot! Go on, shoot!
Mr. Oliver, I think that is a silly rule. There is no reason why a man should have to run around the bases when they can't get him out.
Isn't that a woman for you? Never seen a baseball game, and already she's changing the rules.